has value. And unfortunately, our people don't understand that votes have value, and that is our opportunity to do business in the governmental structure in America. So I applaud him on that. Unfortunately, he doesn't have any substance behind his idea, which is the contract with Black America. And the reason he doesn't have any substance behind it is you cannot present a contract on paper without having something to barter or broker with. So there are no votes that he represents under one umbrella, as we are working to do with the Black Gold Nation. And then there's no money. When you're now entering into the world of governmental politics, you have to create a political organization that is going to represent the amount of votes that you have in your organization. So for this example, I will give the following. If Ice Cube, let's say, was a part of the Black Gold Nation, and the people who rode with Ice Cube and the Black Gold Nation, we now leverage 5 million people in America to be a part of the Black Gold Nation. Brother Naru, that is 5 million votes, all right? Now, if you now have $100 coming to that particular organization, by those votes each year, 5 million times 100, Brother Naru, is how many dollars per year?
$500 million, baby.
$500 million, just from $100 from 5 million people. Okay? So now, $500 million, Brother Naru, over 4 years, since Negroes like to wait for the presidential race, and that's not what we're doing, but over 4 years, how much money would that be?
Well, that would be a lot. 500 times 500. So we talking about 5, 10, 15, 20. That sounds like about $20 million, brother. I mean, $200 million.
$2 billion.
$2 billion. That's what I'm. $2 billion, man. That's a lot of money, man.
Now, if you have 5 million members and $2 billion, and 5 million people can easily influence, each person can easily influence 5 people to vote the way that they want them to vote. Now you have access to a total of 30 million votes, a minimum of $2 billion in your political coffers. And now you create a convention for your political organization after the Republicans and Democrats have decided on their leadership. And now at our convention, what do? We invite the Republican and the Democratic leadership, and we interview their asses like a job interview, goddammit. And now we produce a document, our agenda, and now we negotiate with both entities. And whichever one is the best in the interviewing process and agrees to roll with our agenda, and we negotiate, now we formulate a contract with so-called Black America. That's how it's supposed to be done. You can't just offer the contract, but I am proud of the fact that he has done that, because guess who's supposed to really do that, Brother Naru? Who do you think in the country is supposed to do that?
Our so-called leaders? I don't know.
The NAACP?
Yeah, they're so-called leaders.
The Congressional Black Caucus?
The Divine Nine?
The Divine Nine. So now the question is for everybody, why haven't they offered up a goddamn concept?
That's actually one of my last questions, brother. It's a good question.
Because all of them are in bed with the goddamn Democratic Party.
But Brother Craig, check out this quote. And since my connection was all messed up, my questions are all out of whack. But check this out. This is something that Cube said that stuck with me, that goes to what you just said, brother. And he's talking. Well, he don't know this, of course, but as it relates to pseudo Negro leadership, this is what Cube said. He said, since the 60s, we've had over 7,000 Black people elected in office in high positions throughout the country, and we haven't moved an inch.
Exactly.
Now, if that's, we're going backwards.
Yeah.
Now, if that's not telling, then you simply are in denial or you're not paying attention. So when you look at it from that vantage point, 7,000 elected officials to include the top job, and we going backwards, and you include organizations that have been around for 50, 60, 75, 100 years.
Exactly.
Then you're either extremely confused, you don't care, or you are sleeping with the enemy.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you're that confused.
Well, the people, they don't understand. They don't have a clue. And they're just played like a goddamn ping pong ball between both Republican and Democrats.
Mm-hmm.
And the job, and this is why I asked the first question, Brother Tamani, which was, what is the best indicator of future performance? And Brother Naru correctly answered past performance.
Right.
So now let's go back in the past. What was the political affiliation of most African descendants in America? And when I say most, I'm talking about 99.9%.
Republican.
It might have been. Now, why were they Republican?
Probably because Lincoln was Republican.
Ain't no problem, goddamn it, that's what it was.
Well, don't get mad at me.
Was Abraham Lincoln truly for Black folks?
Hell no, he was trying to save the Union, and he said that.
but that's the propaganda that they push. Okay?
Yeah.
So we know that the Democratic Party existed now in 1864 and 1865.
Right.
But 99.9% of African descendants in America were Republican, because the Republican Party initiated the illusion of freedom under the Emancipation Proclamation. It didn't free our people, okay? It didn't provide partial freedom. It was a tactical maneuver to gain, for the North, the Union, to gain leverage against the South, the Confederacy, during the Civil War, all right? However, the Republican Party passed January 31st, 1865, the 13th Amendment,
yep,
which gave us partial freedom from chattel slavery. Not the Democratic Party, but the Republican Party. The Republican Party were the hardcore KKK members. I mean, you had Republicans who were KKK, but most of them were on the abolitionist side, whoop the whoop. So 99.9% of our people were Republican. When did the flip, who can tell me when the flip happened? When did the flip happen?
I'm going to guess with the, had to be the civil rights era, when Black people were probably given the right to vote, or maybe right before that.
Anybody else?
I don't know the timeline, but I kind of remember that the Democratic Party was the KKK, and they kind of were attacking, and they said they would stop attacking if people would join the Democratic Party. I kind of remember something like that. But
oh, really? Oh, wow.
I'm wrong.
Okay.
Anybody else?
That's interesting.
Sister Fabu? Okay. The flip happened when this president by the name of Franklin
Delano Roosevelt. Damn it, I was gonna say that with the New Deal.
Brought forth the New Deal.
That was good. Damn it, that was my first answer.
That was in the 1940s. Follow me now. We have been Republican all along. The flip starts with the New Deal. This is coming after what? The Great
Depression. Yeah, the Great Depression.
So now you get the Great Depression. Now the New Deal comes in. A lot of jobs are being created. A lot of federal money is pouring in, just like it is right now. And a lot of the social services programs come in, Social Security, all these things. So now it is viewed that the Democratic Party is the new Republican Party of the 20th century. Because in the 19th century, it was the Republicans. So now the Democrats make their move. So now Negroes begin to switch. Not completely, but they begin. What's the next big movement to get them connected? During what administration? The Kennedy administration. Do y'all remember going into Negroes' houses and you would see
Jesus,
a picture of Martin Luther King?
Jesus and Kennedy.
Kennedy. Y'all remember that?
Yeah, I remember that.
This is how the Negro mind had been warped. And ain't that the damn Kennedys did a goddamn thing for them, but guess what? They looked good.
Mm.
They were young, and they were making a lot of promises. But of course, those promises did not come into fruition. Kennedy was assassinated in 1963. So what now takes place? Lyndon Baines Johnson gets in office, a hardcore racist. He was just like Donald Trump. And this hardcore racist was being dealt with by Martin Luther King, the so-called nonviolent civil rights movement. And they now are pushing for 3 pieces of legislation. The Civil Rights Act, which took place in 64, the Voting Rights Act, which took place in 65, and the Housing Rights Act, which took Fair Housing Act, which took place in 1968. So these were the 3 things that they were pushing for: civil rights, voting rights, and fair housing. Where's economics in that?
It's missing.
So before 1964, we had quite a few black millionaires. How were these black millionaires being created?
Had to be businesses in the community, huh?
Exactly. We were doing business with ourselves.
Right.
So the cooperative economic spending rate was at an all-time high because we were forced to do business with ourselves. But that wasn't good enough for Negroes. So they pushed for federal legislation. And Lyndon Baines Johnson, and I will get the documents for you. I think I sent to Money some of the information. Lyndon Baines Johnson was so clever. This is what he said. He's quoted. I'm going to have them niggers voting Democrat.
That's right.
For 200 years.
That's right.
This is where we're at today. Because of those 3 pieces of legislation and the fact that now Negroes are happy to go give their money to Woolworth versus Mr. Jones Burger Place. They're happy to go and shop at TGNY versus Mr. Baker's Fashion Mart. So all of the pseudo progression ended up causing what to our black businesses?
The demise of our black business and wealth building and the ability to transfer that wealth.
So now we go from a 50+% cooperative economic spending rate to where we're at now, less than 3%. The Democrats can't do a goddamn thing about that. The Republican Party can't do a goddamn thing about that. But we constantly are praying for them to do something, and nobody is going to do anything until we do something for ourselves.
Right.
That's why you have to create your own independent political party and now produce a document, an agenda, and then negotiate a contract. So with that, Cube is in the ball game, but he doesn't understand all of the intricate details.
And that's a good point, Brother Craig, because I want to get to those articles you sent me, because I have a question about them, actually two, but Cube is so close to understanding what this thing is all about. He these are some of the quotes that he's made, and it tells you that he's right there, but he don't fully understand the mobilization and organization part. These are three quotes. He said, and I'm quoting Cube, he said, the system is not designed for us to catch up. We got to break that design. That's the first quote. We got to break that design. The second quote, they have 1,000 games. He said, we're sick of the games. It's time for them to give us our just due. That's where he's off on that giving. And then the last part, we're relegated to the bottom in a systematic fashion.
Exactly.
We got to break that up. It got to stop. So he understands that it's a system. He understands that it needs to be broken. But what he doesn't understand is, like we did last week with 50 years of rage, you can scream and yell all you want. You can have all the data all you want. You can prove them wrong all you want. You bring nothing to the table.
Exactly.
That's going to make them do anything, and they're not going to respect your data. They're not going to respect you screaming, yelling, and crying. They don't give a damn. But we seem to continually miss that, and I think where Cube obviously got it wrong is he put the cart before the horse. And when I came back, when my connection came back online, you were talking about you know when you're in business, you can't come to market before you put certain things in place.
Exactly.
And he has this document that ain't got no meat, ain't got no teeth. And no matter how much sense it makes, you have no way to hold anybody accountable because you don't have no power.
Exactly.
And I think that's where he obviously falls short.
It's akin to, when I asked you two questions about the presentation of a contract, the discussion of a contract, and the negotiation of a contract for labor, for product services. It's akin to saying that I want to present and discuss and negotiate a contract to provide, let's just say, electrical contracting services on your house. Okay, it's good to present, discuss, and negotiate that, but guess what? If you ain't got no goddamn electrical contracting skills, what the hell are we talking about?
Right.
It's akin to presenting, discussing, and wanting to negotiate a contract, and you want to sell Q-tip, and you present, you discuss, and now you negotiate, and you don't have any goddamn Q-tips to sell.
Right.
And the third example, I'm gonna give you a real example because it's the FUBU example. I'm gonna give you real business example. Damien John and his crew of FUBU, brilliant concept, for us, by us. I mean, absolutely brilliant. And they had enough ingenuity to begin to mobilize and organize some of the hip hoppers to wear their gear during rap videos.
That's right.
They had a great concept. The company name is also the brand, and it's also the positioning statement. FUBU, for us, by us, for us. I mean, it's brilliant. There's a big merchandising show that goes on annually where merchandisers in the fashion industry, retail industry, they come to see people's new fashion. And it's called the Magic Show. And they typically hold it in Vegas. Well, the FUBU team went to Vegas, but they didn't have any money to get a booth. But they had enough creativity to create some cards to go and present to the merchandise. And they lured them back to their hotel to present their item.
That's working it out.
That was smart.
Yeah.
So the merchandisers are like, man, I like this. I like the brand. I like y'all's gear. We're going to order. They ass got over $1 million worth of orders. Their asses were making clothes in Damian John's basement. Most people, when they're talking about business, they're focused on business failing when you don't have anything to sell. But another way for your business to fail is when you have too many orders and you can't keep up with the damn production.
Right.
So what ends up happening? They couldn't keep up with production and they were in over their heads. So this is the story of FUBU. They now go into the New York Times, take out an ad, and they say $1 million worth of orders, funding needed. And here's where Samsung comes in, and the rest is history. They give them $10 million, but guess what? They got 80% of the company.
Isn't that something?
And so when you put the cart before the horse, and you don't have your infrastructure in place. See, Cube doesn't have an infrastructure in place. This is what we're doing with the Black Gold Nation. Infrastructure, putting talented people in key positions throughout all of these very important areas, whether it be food, business, governmental politics, spirituality, all of this stuff. Grant writing, we're doing security, technology. Cube, they haven't done that. So they're looking at the cart, which is the contract, but there is no horse, there is no horseshoes, there ain't no damn saddle, there ain't nothing. And so you can't negotiate from that position where you don't have anything to bring to the table. But the premise was he was bringing his star power, his celebrity to the table, but I give him an A goddamn plus for saying, and I quote, we ain't here to talk about no goddamn minority. Right. We ain't here to talk about no goddamn people of color. We're here to talk about goddamn black folks.
Right. Yeah.
And I can question the whole American descendant of slaves, but I know where he's at on that.
And it's interesting, Brother Craig, that we hear that a lot, black people talking as if they have the support of black people. If we just withhold our vote, if we just voted this way, if we just did this, and everybody is talking like black people are all on the same page. and we act as if we are a unified people that's moving toward the same goal. And again, this is where Q put the cart before the horse, and of course we commend him for trying to do it, but he doesn't speak for a large group of people because he hasn't put that time in to mobilize and organize. And that is why, unfortunately, it's not going to go anywhere, at least right now. And again, of course, we've reached out. I think I'm on reach out number 5. If he ever contacts us, or if you know, say again.
I say if anybody knows.
Well, amen. If anybody knows how to reach him, please let him know. But fortunately, we do have some rappers here in Houston that might be able to put us in touch with his people. So we'll see. But we are reaching out.
And that's what we really got to do. What we got to do, Tamani, is take advantage of what we have on the table and reach out to the godfather of the industry, and that being Jay Prince.
Yep.
And we need to step to Jay Prince. We need to take advantage of what we have at our disposal. And I'll be having a conversation on Saturday, as a matter of fact, with our icon in the industry, DJ Bebe. It's his birthday weekend, so I'm going to participate in a bike ride that he's having on Saturday. So I will make it a point to discuss the Ice Cube situation and see about getting in touch with him through Bebe.
Amen. And hopefully, if we come from this thing on two different fronts, then we'll have some luck and finally reach the brother. but getting back to those articles that you sent me, two very important things I want to ask as it relates to those articles. One of them, or I think two of them, were dealing with Trump working for the Democrats. And that's something that you said multiple times. He's actually working for or with the Democrats, right? And the other articles were Republicans and Democrats being on two sides of the same coin.
Exactly.
We actually had a show about that, I think 2 weeks ago. So can you give us a summation of the articles that you sent to me? First, talking about Trump working for the Democrats, the evidence and proof of that with some of the articles, and the other one is Republicans and Democrats being on two sides of the same coin. And I found it very, very, very interesting that Obama is raising money for Biden at Bush's ranch. And I find it very interesting that Obama is sitting down to meet with Putin. So anyway, brother, those articles, first one, Trump working for Democrats, and then Republicans and Democrats be the same.
First and foremost, Donald Trump is a Democrat. He's not no goddamn Republican. And all you got to do is go back to before the Republican convention happened. He was trying to get in, and they were talking about him running as an independent. He could not run as a Democrat, and he's friends with the Clintons, by the way. He could not run as a Democrat because the game was to try to get Hillary Clinton elected as the first female president in America. People hate her ass.
Bad candidate.
Okay.
Bad candidate.
But she was next up because she was supposed to be up in 2008, but they rolled with Barack Obama.
Mm-hmm.
This Democratic pimp had more game than her Democratic pimp. So they went with Obama first, and then she was next up. So they started out on a bad foot because people knew that the whole Democratic process to determine the nominee was a sham. So they started feeling the heat. So they needed to create some pseudo competition. In comes Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders is an independent, but they got him to flip to play his role in the Democratic nomination process 4 years ago. But he does too good of a goddamn job.
That's right.
Because he started promising every goddamn thing. You know, free goddamn college, free health care, free Mercedes, free Cadillac. You're going to get $1 million each year. So the young people bought it. And Killer Mike and a lot of other Negroes bought it. And they had to hurry up and shut him down because he was gaining too much momentum. And all he was supposed to do is create the illusion that there was competition.
Right. So
they shut it down. She gets the nomination, and they make Tom Kaine the Democratic nominee, and that now pisses off the Bernie Sanders folks. So now you got even more drama coming on. So now it's like, we got to find a way to create what we're creating right now, this lesser of two evils option. Because they got to always put Negroes in the trick bag with, well, he is going to get us killed. And she's just going to get us killed a little bit. but he'll get us killed a lot. And so what is that like? Malcolm X said, if you got a knife,
that's right,
in my back 12 inches,
right,
and you pull it out 6 inches, but it's still in my back, that's not progress.
That's not progress.
So that's what they get you to do when they talk about the lesser of two evils. Donald Trump sticks it in your back 12 inches, and now Hillary Clinton perceptively pulls it out 6, and you believe that that's still a good thing, but you still are bleeding and dying.
Right.
But this is where we're at. So they had to create Donald Trump, so they planted him into the Republican Party, and he became the star because their main core of their organization, although they represent a lot of business entities, their main core is hardcore KKK white supremacists. And so he sung there too. He was never supposed to win. He was just supposed to win the nomination and become the worst of the two evils and then force Negroes and everybody to roll with Clinton. It didn't work. And he won. And from that point until now, Trump has been the biggest sales rep for the Democrats and the Biden campaign. Everything he does is to force you into believing that he is worse than Adolf Hitler. And that's the game. And so that's that particular article. And then the second article, what was the reference point?
Democrats and Republicans being two sides of the same coin.
These people are relatives. These people, your upper echelon, they are fraternity brothers. They're sorority sisters. They go to the same churches. See, our people, you know, when you think about this, Brother Tamani, a lot of the vast majority of people, regardless of ethnicity, they just go to work. They might go to church. Some of them might be a part of Masonic organizations, but the vast majority of people don't go to college. And the vast majority of people are not a part of networking organizations. Follow me now.
Yeah.
If you've never been a part of an organization, especially secret organizations, private organizations, like the Scottish Rites Masons, or the Prince Hall Masons, or the Eastern Star, or any of the Divine Nine, or any of the white Greek letter organizations. If you've never been a part of that, you really don't understand how any of this works at all.
At all.
Because all of those people that are in elected positions, they're all a part of those organizations.
Yep.
One way or the other.
Yep.
And that's why grassroots people, regardless of ethnicity, that's why they'll never get any goddamn thing. So they're all playing a game, but they're all on the same team.
And a lot of them don't even understand the role that they're playing in the game. A lot of them think that they are actually moving forward, and they don't realize that they're pawns. Because in a very huge game, and it's about power, getting it, maintaining it, and keeping it, and you're just a piece on somebody's chessboard.
Some of them do know that they are just either a pawn or a bishop or rook, like Daniel Cameron. Daniel Cameron know that he's a goddamn pawn or
right. But most of our people aren't Daniel Cameron.
No, but I'm giving the leadership.
Oh, okay, I got you. Yeah.
The leadership example. Those in leadership, they a lot of them know that they are pawns. They are willing to play that role.
Sure.
Because they don't, in their mind, they don't see anything different than the matrix of white supremacy racism. So they carve out some form of equity for themselves and say the damn, the hell with everybody else.
Or they lie to, I'm not sure if they lie to themselves or not, but I've heard some people say, and it's so funny to me, I'm gonna change it from the inside. I'm like, ain't no way in hell you gonna change this behemoth from the inside. But that's what people say, which is really ridiculous.
It's a combination. Again, we don't live in a one-dimensional world. You got to have people, legitimate grassroots people on the inside, and you got to have legitimate grassroots people, hybrid, on the outside, along with regular grassroots people. That's the only way that you're going to do this. It's an inside, outside, outside, inside construct.
Right. And it is a spider web of activity. The more you learn, the more you realize you don't really know that much, because it's deep, it's interwoven, it's layered. It's like you say, man, the philosophy, system, and game of capitalistic white supremacy and racism. And if all you do, because it's all you've been taught to do, is go to work, get a good job, get an education, go to work, then you are, you're on the rat wheel. You're a part of the rat race. You never get those very valuable things that we talk about, those 6 pillars. You never get spirituality. You never get introduced to right culture. The education you get is what they give you, which means it is most certainly subpar and inferior. You don't have an understanding of economics. The word socioeconomics never entered your vocabulary. And politics, you think voting for the president is the end all be all. So you are so caught, you don't even know you're in the matrix. And the things you need to get out of the matrix, you never see Morpheus. Because and our people don't, and not only do we not fully understand what this thing is all about, but when someone tries to bring us that information, we go the other way.
Oh yeah.
Because it, like you said last week, cognitive dissonance. It's a clash with what we've been told is the truth. And since we don't know how to think, since we don't know how to critically analyze, and since we have we're so shallow and we're so I don't know, we fucking scared of the wind. We don't want to fight. We don't want to think. We just want stuff to be right. We want stuff just to make it so. That's why it's so easy for us to be so religious, because we want somebody else to do it.
Exactly.
And it's easier to put it on somebody else. Jesus is gonna take care of it.
Exactly.
All I got to do is go to church, pay my tithes, be a good Christian, and Jesus is gonna take care of it. Despite the fact that Jesus, that's how we know he's black, because he's late. He should have taken care of it a long time ago.
Really. And look, you know what's so funny? I've been in this political thing for 35 years this year. Next month will be 35 years. Starting at the age of 17, working in my first political campaign in New Orleans, and working under the guidance and leadership of Mark Moriel, who is the national president for the Urban League. Shout out to Brother Mark, and who also is the former mayor of New Orleans. And like I told you, my first exposure, even before I worked on a campaign, was being around brothers and sisters from Chicago who had started working on the Harold Washington campaign, all the way in New Orleans with absentee ballots. I mean, these dudes were just a couple of years older than me.
College students. Right? College
goddamn students.
Yes,
man,
sir.
I was like, God damn, what the hell is an absentee ballot? I mean, and we would have on Friday night, and all of them liked me because I could debate with their ass at the age of 17 and they like 19, 20. And we'll be philosophizing on a Friday night to 2 a.m, talk about this, that. Brother Dennis Garrett, who is a top attorney in Illinois right now, Houston Gilliard, all these phenomenal cats, right? So I've been doing this for like 35 years, from the grunt work all the way up to political strategist and candidate. And here I am, coming out of corporate America, knowing all of this shit, straight grassroots, willing to help teach all of these crazy ass people. And I'm on Facebook giving them the receipts for everything that I say. Got the receipts for my qualifications.
Yep.
And Negroes will sit and tell me, Craig, you just don't understand.
You don't get it, brother.
They ain't worked on one campaign. They ain't been behind the scenes and no behind the scene negotiation. And so when the whole Q thing comes up, and I'm explaining to them how this works, how they do political theater, and it's like, nah, we just got to get rid of Trump, and then we're going to go and hold their feet to the fire. And I'm sitting up here like, man, that's not how this works.
At all.
Because you don't provide labor before you present, discuss, and negotiate a contract. You don't provide goods and services before you present, discuss, and negotiate a contract. And in order to do this game, you are going, trust me when I tell you now, if you ain't got no votes behind you and you ain't got no goddamn money on the table, all that whooping, that don't mean nothing, Pipe, in this game. Because you're dealing with the real gangsters.
Yep.
These are the real gangsters, not no damn Ray Ray them on the damn street. They use Ray Ray. They use Ashika. They use Buffy and Muffy. They use the preacher. They use the pimp. They use every goddamn body. So if we don't, and Brother Ken is absolutely correct, if we don't create our own voting block with money, brother, you're not getting nothing in this game, and that's why we don't get anything in this game. So now, on the public sector corporate side, you ain't got nothing. And why we ain't got nothing, and that's why I went over the history of this tonight. You ain't got nothing on the private sector side. Why? Because Martin Luther King and the nonviolent civil rights group didn't know what the hell they were doing. So they offered us up as sacrificial lambs, our black businesses, all for the illusion of integration. And the only thing that has been integrated is our goddamn money into their coffers. So now we're at less than 3% cooperative economics. And if you can't get that up to 10 percentage points higher, 20 percentage points higher, you're never going to be able to impact the game.
Yep.
So this is a multifaceted approach that has to happen. Not just no goddamn talk about reparations, which is not going to happen in the form that they're talking about. And in order to do that, you got to have leverage. You got to vote as a block, and you got to bring money status to the table from a grassroots standpoint. It ain't no other goddamn way.
And that's why it's so important, Brother Craig, that we continue to try, the Black Owned Nation movement, we continue to try to reach brothers like Q, because we don't want him to get burnt out. We don't want him to get frustrated. But he has to understand that the way you're going about doing it will never work. We continually believe that because we're right, we're going to get something. And we don't understand that this thing is they don't give a damn about you being right. They will agree, like they did last time around. They will agree not to talk about it. They'll agree not to bring it up because you have nothing to hold them accountable. You have no power.
And nothing, no power.
And if you don't properly mobilize and organize your people, which is in and of itself is a feat, because your people crazy, you ain't gonna go anywhere but that, because they're psychologically damaged.
Exactly, brother.
So we have to continually, of course, do our part to reach our brother to try and bring him along, and hopefully our efforts on this end in Houston, your efforts there in Shreveport, hopefully we can get some people to reach our brother, and we can make this thing a reality. But anyway, it is 10:01. We are at the end of the show. So before I let you say your last words, brother, do we have anybody that wants to ask Brother Craig a question before we close this thing out? Anybody at all?
You know, I always got a million questions.
Come on, brother.
You already know what it is. So first and foremost, let me look at my little notes here. So I want to know what the conversation would be like that you would have with Ice Cube. So, you know, we in Black Gold Nation, we don't represent a large voting block. What can we offer to Cube at this time? That's my first question. Well, I'll just let you answer that, then I ask the next one after that.
That's for Craig or me.
I said either one of you. You know.
Yeah, you can go first.
Yeah, we offer him the same thing we offer with the show. We offer him knowledge and understanding of where he's missing the gaps in his plan. We let him know quite simply, brother, you're putting the cart before the horse, and here is why. He obviously cares. He obviously has good intentions, but we have to help. We have to educate him as to the fact that you don't have the power to make anybody do anything. So let's take a step back and let's rethink this strategy. Let's rethink how you're using your celebrity, and let's build something on the ground. If we had a conversation with Cube, we would say, you know, we're about to kick off this 100-city tour. Help us make this tour a reality so we can mobilize our people on the ground. So when you speak, you're not just talking here and there on shows, but you're connected to a movement that's on the ground, organizing our people. So when you speak, you got 1 million soldiers behind you ready to move. And then we put the fundraising aspects to it that Brother Craig was talking about initially, and then we start talking about power. So that's what that conversation would be, and I hope and pray it happens.
And Naru, from my standpoint, since you're in Oakland, the next thing that would happen would be to connect him to your city from a case analysis. And what case analysis would that be? That would be the best case analysis in the history of this country, and that is the Black Panther Party for Self-Defense. See, this has already been done.
Yes, sir.
Although it wasn't perfected at that time, they started out with just a few people, 2 to be exact. We already have more than 2, and we have a much broader perspective as it relates to coming into the game, because we were able to see the things that they did right and some of the things that they did wrong. So you already have that case analysis to say, this is how you begin the process, and you effectively go about doing it that particular way. So we have the expertise, the experience, and we're building the infrastructure. Him coming on board now elevates that process, tremendous.
Yeah, and then also Naru, we would ask our brother once we get him to understand our perspective, and if he agrees to rock and roll with us, we ask him to make some phone calls and get some other celebrities on board so that we can do this thing the right way, and put some teeth behind his contract, so that it's not just words on the paper.
What would be the timetable for something like that? It looks like he's looking for something immediately.
That's not gonna happen.
I know that, but I'm saying, what do you think would be? I
would tell his ass straight up, shut the bullshit down. We're not here to bullshit. See, so I would tell him straight up, that's bullshit. I'm appreciative of you getting in the game, but that's not going to happen. And so we're talking about now on a national basis, we're talking about over a 4-year, we're talking about over a 4-year process. That's what we're talking about. 4-year process.
I thought the timetable would be longer. So,
exactly.
So I know, Brother Craig, you're against this organization, Our Black Party, but they seem they're getting some a presence and a following right now, and they're signing people up for this so-called Black Party, Black political party. So I'm wondering if there's any way to leverage what they're doing in some of their members, because it seems like they are gaining some steam, not in this maybe this arena for this election, but it seems like they are building a base. So what do you say to that?
And again, I go back to the Black Panther Party for Self-Defense. There were other organizations, pseudo Panther organizations, other spinoff groups doing things back in the 60s. And what happens is just like with the NBA championship, the best teams are going to rise to the top, and then we will determine who is going to maneuver. I very seriously doubt, and this ain't stroking myself, I'm gonna be very honest with Brother Naru. I very seriously doubt that another group has our caliber of talent, especially from a governmental political standpoint. With my background, it would be hard for me to see another group having the infrastructure that we already have in place. So I'm not against any of those groups if they are sincerely working to do grassroots Black empowerment. But from what I see and what I've heard, whether it's with Puffy's talking or ADOS or any of those groups, they're missing so many different aspects of this game, because that's why I always ask you and others when we do movie reviews, can you build a house from the roof down? And you can't. So you cannot start at the damn White House. You cannot start on Capitol Hill. You got to start with the streets in your respective cities, counties, and parishes. And guess what? You got to now deal with this from 6 perspectives, with those 6 pillars: spiritual, cultural, educational, economic, social, political.
And there is no way around that.
Ain't no way to get around that. So it would be hard for me to see any of these other groups, and I've looked at some of their platforms. They're talking about basic things that they don't even understand how to maneuver with, like police brutality and violence. They don't even understand that if you don't get in the political process to leverage the seat, so you got to leverage the seat in order to now elect a mayor who now recommends who's going to be the police chief, so the council can then confirm that entity. That's where the policies have to change within that overall dynamic. And then the police department, the law enforcement apparatus in each state is protected by unions and whatnot. So you got to be connected to law enforcement, and people got to know that you got skills and a genuine concern. So that's a lot of credibility that you got to have, and you just don't come up with credibility with law enforcement, lawyers, district attorneys. You got to have some time in the game. I'm just being honest.
And also, Brother Naru, I haven't seen one yet that isn't making the same mistake our brother Ice Cube is making. Everybody is demanding something. You don't have the power to. I mean, you.
So just hold. I got all that. This is what I'm saying. Our people are following them. Can we get in those organizations and lead our people away to a better way? Can we? The people are already there, is what I'm saying. So how can we get in and leverage those people that are already in these organizations? They've done some groundwork already because they've got money behind them. They've gotten all these people. Yep. So what I'm proposing is that, like you guys talked about before, we get an NAACP, we get in these organizations and we get people out of there.
By all means, yeah.
I think Naru, now that I brought to money down to the point of making Houston ground zero, along with Shreveport, and now the Houston crew is starting to do programs and projects, and my election is coming up in 2022, and we have projects that will leverage us resources and whatnot. Again, for right now, we can have friendly relations with them. I think Tamani got to meet with some group to talk to them or whatever. But we can have friendly relations. But the proof will be in the pudding. Over the next, let's say, 2 years, we see who's doing the actual work and making some things happen. And then at that particular point, we can talk to various entities and that which we promote, we'll go ahead and attract, because trust me, there's more than enough people out here to plug in to what we're trying to do on a national basis.
And I tell you what, Naru, your point is a valid and critically important one, because we need people like yourself, seriously, who are listening to what Brother Craig is saying, who's gaining and understanding and learning, so that, brother, all we got to do, man, if we can get enough people to invite these other people and these other movements, just invite them to a show or two, and then they will hear, and of course they're gonna ask questions, and then we can open them up, broaden their horizons or whatever, and then boogie from there. So what you're saying is the same thing. That's why Brother Craig is a member of the NAACP. That's why Brother Lloyd in Houston is a member of the NAACP. That's why I'm about to be the member of this national organization, because we understand that a lot of our people, they have good intentions, they just don't know. Some full of shit, and we know that, but we got to work through that. So what you're saying, brother, is a valid point. It's a critical point, and it's a chess move. So by all means, we want to bring them into the fray, under the umbrella, expose them to whatever we can as often as we can, and then we give them the option, get out and lay down, because we coming. Next question.
No, thank you. That was well done.
Well, thank you, sir. We try. Okay. All right. Does anyone else have a question or comment for Brother Craig, Brother Ken?
I just have a quick plug. I want everybody who was on tonight to go to the interview that Judge Joe Brown, what's the brother name, Craig?
Voice Watchers.
Yes, it was so informative, man. It knocked me out my socks. The stuff that he brought out about who Obama is connected to, and man, it will really broaden some dark spots. I knew a lot of stuff, but it brought it to light.
Excellent. Thank you, brother.
Powerful. Make sure that I sent that video to you.
Yeah, you sent it today. Yeah, I saw it. Yeah,
send that out to everybody.
Thanks for that, Brother Ken. Appreciate it. Does anyone else have a question or comment for Brother Craig? All right, Brother Craig, close this thing out on your end.
And prime example, Brother Ken is one of my trusted soldiers, soul brothers, lieutenants here in the movement in Shreveport. And he brings a plethora of skills and experiences to the table. And the way that I was able to recruit Brother Ken is through the work that I've done in this city for 25 years. And tonight, when I went to this event, that was a tennis event. I picked up 4 people that I'm recruiting into Lace. Lace will be the local vetting process before I bring them to the Black Gold Nation. So I'm at a variety of different things. And this gets to the point of what Brother Naru asked. And people in Shreveport for damn sure ain't following any of those other organizations. So as we now make ourselves visible and known, tomorrow I'll be speaking at it's called From Prison to Success, live reenactment. I'm the consultant for brothers and sisters who have been incarcerated 15, 30 years in Angola. I'm their consultant and I'm working with them. They're part of our LACE team here in Shreveport, and all because of the work that I've done over 25 years. And I will say this, the projects that I'm working on for my nonprofit, my for-profit, to leverage about a couple $1 million over the next year to 2 years, and then locking down the district B seat, this now becomes the prototype that we use to promote. And within that overall dynamic, we'll be solid. So Brother Ken, along with several other brothers, we're now mobilizing here in Shreveport, Caddo, but this has been a 25-year journey, 30-year journey when, 35-year journey when you go back to me at the age of 17 in New Orleans. So that's how we'll roll. We keep on doing work, and we'll keep on networking, and we build this thing just like E.F. Hutton, one person at a time. And we solidify our core things in Houston, Shreveport, out there in Oakland, Baltimore, you know, the core cities that we have on board right now. And we make sure that people leverage money, status, and materialism as a grassroots advocate. And trust me, everything else will take care of itself. But I want to thank everybody for tuning in tonight, and just stay watching. And I will be bringing some hell of analysis over the next 2 weeks as we go into this voting day, because I can't wait for the Democrats to win and start putting another foot in these Negroes' asses. And I got 5 years of I told you so, and that's what's going to happen. But we now have the opportunity to do our Black political party underneath our BGN umbrella.
Well, amen, brother. Thank you for that. As always, you've done an absolutely fantastic job of laying this thing out for us to better understand and learn from, so that we can move forward as a unified people as much as possible. For those of you who might want more information about the Black Gold Nation movement, you can always send me an email at theblackgoldnation@gmail.com. That's theblackgoldnation@gmail.com. Our events website is blackgold-wakandarising.com. blackgold-wakandarising.com. Click on the After the Protest tab and learn more about our 100 city tour, where I am traveling the country starting tomorrow. I'm going to be hitting all the our targeted cities in Texas for the next week and a half, 2 weeks. Then I'm off to Louisiana, then the West Coast, then the East Coast. We are literally trying to build 100 teams of Black people in 100 cities to prepare them for political power over the next year or two moving forward. We are looking for people who are ready to do. We're not looking for people who just want to talk or post on social media, but people who understand that our people are in a bad spot, and it's only going to change if we mobilize and organize. If you want to learn more about the Black Gold Nation and you like this episode of the Revolutionary Code, simply go to our media website, blackgoldmedia.net, and you can watch the previous 13 episodes and learn a bit more about the stuff that Brother Craig and I were discussing this evening. So with that, I want you guys to always understand that we're not here to just inform or educate you. We want to inform, educate, motivate, mobilize, organize, and build. Everything we say and everything we do is about bringing our people together so we can find the right Black people, so we can do something that's about building power, period. Always remember that no one can do everything, but if everyone does something, everything will get done. And absolutely, always, always, always remember that nothing is more sacred. Not me, not you, not your kids, not my kids, not your family, not my family. Nothing is more sacred than the liberation and salvation of Black people, because the Black people don't make it. All of those melanated persons are not going to make it because they are connected to the Black group. But if we take care of the group, if we take care of the tribe, if we take care of the nation, then by default, our loved ones will also be taken care of. So with that, again, thank you guys very much for being a part of the show. We'll see you next week. God bless. Have a good evening.
Safe travels, brother.
All right, brother.
Peace, peace, peace.